Are you living the life that you want to live? The life that you dream of? Or are you living someone else's dream, someone else's life? Your parents, your wife, your friends, the group you hang around with, your employers. I just listened to a song from Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. Are you doing it your way? Or are you doing it someone else's way and dreading every day? Not fully living, but only half alive. How many risks are you taking a day? How many risks did you take last year? Or did you cow down in fear and not step out like you wanted to, like the desire within you pushed you to do? Somehow you logicalized it away. You rationalized it. No, not now. Maybe next year. Maybe when I meet that girl. Maybe when I graduate from high school. Maybe after I finish college. After I get that good job. After I'm making $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, or when I make my first $1 million, then I'll do it. Always a reason, always an excuse to not live the dream. Everyone has a dream within them. Everyone has one. It may have been pushed down, snuffed out, made fun of, but it's there. And the only reason that dream is not becoming a reality is because of who? Because of you. You can blame the outside world. You can blame your boss, your wife, your parents. But when it comes down to it, you are responsible for everything that happens in your life. Now, some people don't like that. They don't like that idea of complete responsibility. Because guess what? There's no excuses. I could blame myself for not being as far along as I'd like to be. Because I had divorces, I had custody battles, I lost everything 2 or 3 times, blah, blah, blah. But they're all just excuses. When it's all said and done, are they going to say, well, Mark would have done better, but all these things happened to him? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just an excuse. Do you want your excuses or do you want your desires? You can have what you desire. It's just a question of whether you're willing to go to any length to get it. Now, when I say any length, I'm not talking about being dishonest, stealing, being crooked, stepping on people, climbing the ladder of success on the backs of other people. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about setting your sails in the direction of your desire, heading out into the ocean of the unknown, just as the explorers did many hundreds of years ago. Not knowing whether they are going to survive or not, whether they are going to make it back or not, but they headed out anyway. You have that bravery within you. We all do. You have to nurture it. You have to step out. You have to take a risk. Start with small things that you're afraid of. Go up and talk to that girl that you think is so beautiful. Go ask for that job. Go take that interview. Go try to run that mile. Go up and talk to that crowd of people. Make friends with people. Talk to that clerk at the store. Little things that you would normally be afraid to do is where you start. I'm not sure who quoted it, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with that first step. You have to take the first step. You can't sit behind your computer or your phone screen. No matter how much knowledge you get, you can't sit behind that and expect to advance and expand in life. I say this all the time, but the universe is constantly expanding. And if you're not expanding, you're contracting. And contraction leads to depression. We have so many people who are depressed. That's a first world luxury. They don't have time and they don't have the luxury of being depressed in third world countries, where they have to get up and just figure out how they're going to make it to the day to get food and water. In some places, it's just that bad. They don't have that luxury. We live in a society of comfort, luxuries, and pleasures. But you say to me, Mark, man, it's got this, the government's doing this, and people are doing this, and people are doing that. All these things that you think are so important. None of my subscribers, but maybe somebody who's joining us today. How important are they? Whether you call me he, him, her, she, how important is that? When you think about what goes on in the world, how many people do you think died today because they didn't have clean water? Look it up on the internet. How many people died today because they didn't have enough food? They actually starved to death. Starvation-related illnesses and deaths. And people in the Western world are spending money and crying about things that really are insignificant. But they seem significant because we have no adversity. We have no challenges in life. Most of us get up in the morning, do the same thing we did yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. And then we wonder why our life is listless. It doesn't change, nothing happens, we're bored. So we look for something to be angry about. And social media gives us plenty, and mainline news gives us plenty to be angry about. And they only give us enough to draw us in with the drama. I don't watch the news. Occasionally I'll watch a little clip just to see what's going on, and usually I regret it. Because they know how to get your emotions, to draw you in. They want you to be angry. They want you to be upset. They want you to be frustrated. They want you to feel, because most people are dominated by their emotions. As a man, you need to learn how to control your emotions. Stoicism. Now, that doesn't mean to stuff your feelings. That doesn't mean to not feel your feelings. Or it doesn't mean not to express your feelings. Alfie Kingdom asked me to be on a podcast with him today. I did. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. I felt good. I have no problem telling you that. But what it doesn't mean is wearing your emotions on your sleeve for everyone to see. To be vulnerable. To be vulnerable means to be susceptible to attack. As a man, I don't believe you should be susceptible to attack. Maybe to your mentor, because you know he's not going to attack you. But to your woman, she doesn't want you to be vulnerable. Now, she says she does. Most of them will say she does. You try crying in front of her a couple times over your dog running out. Over your dog getting run over, or your dog running away. You'll get away with it once or twice, but it makes her uncomfortable. She doesn't feel safe with a man who cries over everything. Hey, I cry a lot. I have no problem telling you. But I do it on my own time, at a proper place. Sometimes I have so much joy. It's like an ecstasy and I cry. And sometimes I've cried because I was sad. It's been a long time since I cried because I was sad. But yeah, I cry. It's okay to express emotion at the right time in the right place. But as men, we need to be able to control our emotional natures. I see now a lot of times, like at baseball games, the pitcher will hit the batter with the ball and the whole dugout comes out and there's a big fight. To me, that looks like men who can't control their emotional natures. They didn't used to do that a long time ago. Basketball games, they have brawls. This wasn't done before. To me, that's people who aren't able to control their emotions. This is part of the sports game. If anything, let the pitcher and the person who got hit, let them fight if that's the case, if they want to fight. We have a lot of men in our nation today, here in the West and the U.S., that can't control their emotions. They are run and ruled by their emotions. Now that's more of a feminine trait. And fortunately, if a woman has that, it's okay because they don't have the physical strength to do the damage that a man has. There are many men in jail who didn't control their emotions and went off and killed somebody. They couldn't control their emotions. They reacted instead of thinking before they acted. Now, there are times when you have to react in a dangerous situation, and you should be able to do that too. But even then, there should be some calculated thinking. But it happens so rapidly, it's not really done by your conscious mind. It's a subconscious program. It's something that is developed over years. Napoleon called it 4 o'clock morning courage. Some men could get up at 4 o'clock and make you wake them up at 4 o'clock in the morning, they were ready to fight right then. And that's the way you should develop yourself as a man. You should always be ready for danger. And I know a lot of people think that's ludicrous and ridiculous because of the society we live in is so safe. I mean, some places are. Or so many people have been coddled and they live in these manicured yard neighborhoods. And they're beautiful. That's great that we can have that here. But they don't understand what the real world, or 80% of the world, is really like, because they are so protected. They're soft, they're coddled, they're snowflakes. They're not tough, is what I'm saying. But you need to become tough. You need to become durable. You need to become masculine. You need to be a man, because you're women, and if you have children, they need you to be a man, because you never know when something might happen in this wonderful society we have may crumble. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow morning and we had no electric or water? What would you do? Oh, and God forbid, no internet. Can you drive somewhere without the phone, without GPS, without that type of directional instrument? Someday you may not have that. Do you know what to do if you're out in the woods by yourself and it's cold, or it's raining, or it's hot? Do you know how to find your way out of the woods? You think these things are ridiculous, but there may come a time in your life when you need this skill. Can you climb a tree? Can you use a knife? Can you start a fire? It would be difficult for me too, but I could do it. I know some of you think these things are, well, we don't need those, we got this, we got that, but all these modern conveniences could be washed away in a moment during a natural disaster, an earthquake, a tornado. And it takes some time for people to come there and replenish these services that we take for granted. I lived in Latin America for 6 years. We lived the biggest part of the time without refrigerators, without washing machines, without dryers. Sometimes I tried to cook on fire, but actually I had a little hot plate I cooked on, so I was able to do that. Could have cooked on fire, but but I wasn't going to do that unless I had to. We washed our clothes at the lake on a rock for a couple months, several months. I lived there up in the mountains, at the mouth of a giant volcano. It was a big lake. I mean, these things, and you may think that's terrible, but actually that was one of the best times of my life. Although now it's great too. But that was, looking back, it was interesting because I had nothing. We rented a place, and my possessions were just what we had as the family with the clothes. And there was a lot of freedom in that. And then I started acquiring things like a motorcycle. We got the school going. And then you have possessions. Possessions sometimes can kind of own you. But if you want to grow up, if you're a young man, you want to grow up to be a man, find a mentor. Find someone that can help you. Because there's more to being a man than playing Xbox or Call of Duty or whatever it is that people do now. Nothing wrong with those things, but everything in moderation. Learn how to be self-reliant. Learn how to be strong. Learn how to weather the storms of life. Because you're going to run into some storms in life. And people will look up to the man who can handle them, who doesn't get emotional, who doesn't get bowled over by the storms, but stands strong and knows what to do. And if he doesn't know what to do, at least he acts like he knows what to do. He heads off in a direction, he makes a choice, he makes a decision. That's what leaders do, they make the decision. And if you want a woman, you want a family, you want kids, you need to be a leader. You need to be able to make decisions. And sometimes you'll make the wrong decisions. That's okay. You got to be strong enough to make the wrong decision or the right one, and then you can change it later on, or admit you were wrong and go on and make another decision. Most people don't want to make a decision. If you made a true decision, there will be action that follows. Sure, you could be wrong, I've been wrong a lot of times in life, but I learn from my mistakes. And if you're not failing, you're not trying, because the road to success is paved with failure. That's all I got for tonight. If you would like to get my help personally, I do consultations. marksinspiration.com is my website, or you can just send me an email at marksinspirationalguidance@gmail.com. I will put those in the description. Take care. Have a great evening.